Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Python Programming for Beginners series. In this video, we'll be talking about functions with outputs. In our previous videos, we talked about plain functions. Those are functions without any input, without any output. We also talked about functions with inputs. Those are functions with parameters that you can pass to your functions, and then the function is going to perform some operation on the parameters depending on the code that you write inside the function. So in this video, we'll be talking about functions with output, and that is going to lead us to the return keyword. In our previous videos, we talked about functions and how do you define your functions. You define your functions using the def keyword. We've said that again and again. So followed by the name of the function. So you can say function name, you can call that the name of your function, followed by parentheses and your colon. So after that, you have the code that you want to execute inside of the function. Okay, and you indent those codes inside of the function. So you can say to be executed. All right. So for example, if you want to have a function with an output, let's say we want to have a function that perform addition operation. So we can call it add numbers. Okay, you can call it any name you like. The name of your function is solely dependent on you. So for example, you have a function that you use to perform addition, right? Possibly you want to add two or more numbers, as the case may be. So let's say we have two inputs. So we can call the first input, you can call it let's call it A, and then we can call the second input B. So these are our parameters. Okay, so inside of the function, we want to perform addition operation, and to perform that, you can say A plus B. So that is going to add the value of A and B. So we can assign this to any variable. Let's call it sum. Okay, so we can say sum is equal to A plus B. So for this function to give an output, so you use the return keyword to specify the outputs that you want the function to give out. So now that we have sum to be equal to A plus B, to have this sum as our output, we use the return keyword, that is return, and then whatever value you want to return. So you can, since we are returning sum, so we can say sum. For example, you might be fetching data from database and you want to perform the fetch inside of a function. So whatever data you fetch inside of the function, you can use that as the output and you return that using the return keyword. So we can run this function now, and then we are going to have the sum as our return value. So to execute your function, you use the name of the function. So as we have here, we have add numbers, and then you provide the arguments to be assigned to these parameters. Let's say we want to add, let's say 7 and then 4. So we have 7 and then we have 4. Okay, and then we can print that. Let's say let's give this added number. We have added number to be equal to this, and then we can print added number. Okay, so if we run that, okay, so we can see added number is equal to 11. You can as well call the function any number of times you like. You can call it 5 times, 4 times. That's the beauty of function. You can easily execute the code by just calling the functions. You don't have to essentially assign the value to a specific variable. You can as well return the function directly at this level. You can have return here. Okay, return, and then we get rid of this. So this will also perform the same function. So we can say we want to add 3 plus 4. The output is going to be 7. Okay, so we have our output to be 7. It is also not essential to assign the value of the output of a function to a variable, even though that is what you most likely going to be doing in your coding, your programming. It is not essential. You can also invoke the function directly inside of this print statement, and we are still going to achieve the same result. You can invoke the function inside of the print statement. So we have this, and we'll get rid of this added number. So if we also run this, we are also going to have the same result, right? So you you can as well do it like this, but for most of the times you are going to be assigning the output of your function to a variable so that you can continually work with the output of your function. The next item I highlighted there is no code after the return keyword. Okay, and the meaning of that is that whenever you use the return keyword, no code after the return keyword will be considered when executing the function. So for example, let's say you want to print the input. Okay, so as you can see, the line of code is kind of fainted out. That means the line is not reachable. As soon as you use the return keyword in the function, every code after the return keyword will not be considered during execution. So if we hover this now, you can see this message from VS Code is unreachable. That is because we have a return keyword before the code. So any code, either 10,000 lines of code after the return keyword, will never be considered during the execution of your function. Alright, so that's that about the return keyword, how you give output in a function. Another point that you should note is that you can as well pass a function into another function. You can pass the output of a function as a parameter or as an argument to another function. For example, we have another function named multiply number. This first function is for adding numbers. We can as well have another function, so we define the function using the multiply number name. So we have multiply numbers. Okay, so let's say that one also accepts two parameters, so we can call this C and D, just so you can as well use the same parameter. You can use A and B. This parameter is scoped to this function, so they don't disturb each other, but just to avoid confusion, let's call this C and D. Okay, so what we want to do inside of this function is we want to multiply these two parameters. So you can say C multiplied by D. Then we return that so that we have that as our output. Okay. Now we can perform the first function. There is supposed to be a colon here. Okay. So now we can perform the first function and use the output as an input to the second function, and as well we can also invoke the function as an input to the second function to see that. So we can have multiply. Okay, we can have add numbers as our first function. So let's add 2 and 3. That is going to give us 5, and we can pass that as argument to the multiply function. So to invoke this multiply numbers function, let's say we want to multiply the output of this with, let's say, 5. Okay, so we have 5 as the first parameter, and then we can pass this as the second argument. 5 is an argument, not a parameter. Okay, so we can as well assign the output to, let's say, results. Let's say we have results variable. Okay, so we print results. So we can see that you can as well pass a function as an argument to another function. So if we run this now, what do we have as our output? We have 25. We can as well calculate that. On this step, this function is adding 2 and 3. So we have the function add numbers, which is adding the parameters. We have 2 and 3 as the argument. So here at this level, we have 2 plus 3. So the output of this function is now passed as an argument to this function. So here we have 5, 2 plus 3 is 5, and then we have 5 as the second value here. So now we are multiplying the first value, which is 5, and then the second value, which is also 5. That is the output of this addition function. So now we have 5 multiplied by 5, that's why we have 25. You can pass another value, which is also not 5. Let's add 2 and 7, that is going to be 9. So if we run this now, we'll be having 45. The output of this addition function is going to be 9, then multiply by 5, then we have 45. That's that about the return keyword. We use the return keyword to specify the output of a function. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not, and drop your comments if you have any in the comment section. I will see you in the next lesson.